Good afternoon everyone, especially to Sir Macvon. Good afternoon sir. Today we are going to report about one of the famous novels of Jose Rizal, the Noli Me Tangere. Before we start our discussion, by the way, we are the group 10. I am June Marcrief G. Galentes together with Janine Martinez, Jetril Butilla, Honifer Cantos, and Izzy Onez. Noli Me Tangere is a Latin for touch me not. A cute accent is added on the final word in accordance with Spanish orthography. It's an 1887 novel by Filipino writer, activist Jose Rizal, published during Spanish colonial period of the Philippines. It explores perceived inequities in law and practice in terms of treatment by ruling government and the Spanish Catholic friars of the resident peoples 100 years ago. And did you know, the Noli Me Tangere was the first novel of Jose Rizal? It is also often among the topics of required course on the study of Rizal's life in the higher education in the country. Backgrounds. Noli Me Tangere was published in Berlin in 1887. The Noli Me Tangere was of course an Enlightenment novel to the core. Here we find not only the wholesale and unrelenting assault on the role of the friar parish priest in society, but also Rizal heaping scorn on the common Indian religious customs and superstition. Symbolic of his enthusiasm for the spirit of the Enlightenment and intellectual kinship with Voltaire is the character of Filosofo Taslo. The description of the church scene in the novel, a scene that still played out in thousands of churches all over the Philippines today. This proves the common view that Rizal was opposed merely to the Catholic practice of his day. For Rizal, the root of this backwardness was the friar and his domination of society.
Plato's discussion of the villainy of the friars in the Noli is worth coughing at length. No progress, no justice, no reforms are possible in the Philippines because the Spanish friars is their enemy who cannot be defeated on his home ground. This book was historically significant and was instrumental in the establishing of the Filipino sense of national identity. Toward the Noli Me Tangere, Rizal found himself in the midst of the political turbulence, with ideological partisans locked in mortal combat. Indeed, it was the most agitated and therefore stimulating time in Spain. Also, church authorities banned the reading and distribution of the lecture and excommunicated Moraita. Moraita was no ordinary person to Rizal. Miguel Moraita Sigario in 1833 to 1917, a liberal luminary, was a holder of the chair Spanish History at the Universidad Central and Masonic Grandmaster of the Gran Oriente Español.
The plot revolves around Crisostomo Ibarra, mixed-race heir of a wealthy clan returning home after 7 years in Europe and filled with ideas on how to better the lot of his countrymen. The characters of Noli Me Tangere. First, Juan Crisostomo Ibarra y Magsalin, commonly called Ibarra, is a Filipino-Spanish and the only descendant of the wealthy Spaniard Don Rafael Ibarra. He was born and grew up in the Philippines, but during his adolescence, spent 7 years studying in Europe. Those years prevented him from knowing what was happening in his country. When he returned to the Philippines, he found his father had died and the corpse was supposedly moved to a Chinese cemetery, but the body ended up in a river. He heard tales of how helpful and kind his father had been and decided to honor the memory of his father by doing as his father did. Second, Maria Clara de los Santos y Alba is the most dominant yet weakest representation of women in the setting. When thinking of Noli, the name of Maria Clara can be seen predominantly as the image of the ideal Filipino woman. Maria Clara is the primary female character in the novel. She is the daughter of Capitan Tiago and Doña Pia Alba. Doña Pia died while delivering Maria Clara. The poor child grew under the guidance and supervision of Tia Isabel, Capitan Tiago's cousin.
Damaso Verdalagas, commonly known as Padre Damaso or Father Damaso of Franciscan Order, was the former curate of the parish church of San Diego. He was the curate for almost 20 years before he was replaced by the much younger Padre Salve. Padre Damaso was known to be friendly with the Ibarra family, so much that Crisostomo was surprised by what the former curate has done to Don Rafael. Hinking of Noli, the name of Maria Clara can be seen predominantly as the image of the ideal Filipino woman. Maria Clara is the primary female character in the novel. Don Santiago de los Santos, commonly known as Capitan Tiago, is the only son of a wealthy trader in Malabon. Due to his mother's cruelty, Capitan Tiago did not attain any formal education. He became a servant of a Dominican priest. When the priest and his father died, Capitan Tiago decided to assist in the family business of trading before he met his wife Doña Pia Alba, who came from another wealthy family. Don Anastasio, commonly known as Philosopher Tasio or Philosopher Tasio, is one of the most important characters in Noli. On the one hand, he is referred to as a philosopher or sage, hence Philosopher Tasio, because his ideas were accurate with the minds of the townspeople. On the other hand, if his ideas were against the thinking of the majority, he was considered the imbecile Tasio or Tasyong Sinto-Sinto or lunatic Tasio or Tasyong Baliw.
Elias. Elias came from the family which Ibarra clan had oppressed for generations. He grew up in a wealthy family until he discovered something that changed his life forever. Despite that Ibarra's family subjugated his family, he is entirely indebted towards him. Furthermore, Ibarra, who in turn saved Elias' life when they tried to kill Croc. Elias helped him again before Ibarra got arrested by burning his house. Elias and Ibarra continued supporting each other until Elias sacrificed himself to help him one last time. He was shot by the guard mistakenly took as Ibarra trying to dive down the river and escape, and he slowly died. Doña Victorina de Reyes de Espadaña. She is the one who pretended to be a mestiza and always dreamed of finding a Spanish husband, in which she married Don Tiburcio. She was feared by everyone in the town because of her odd appearance, her ruthless personality, and her fierce rivalry against Doña Consolacion. Doña Consolacion, Yamusa de Escuadra Civias y Esposa de Arferes. She was once a laundrywoman who worked for the town alferez. She became wealthy afterwards by marrying a Spanish husband. Despite that they are rivals with Doña Victorina, they are somewhat still in common.